Well, welcome back to Doc Rides. I guess we're gonna go for a little spin to my mom's house. I want to thank you guys again for tuning in and subscribing and commenting on the videos. I want to say special thanks to a fella goes by Road Glide. I think he actually shared one of the original videos, and that's sort of how I got 100 subscribers. So thanks again. He also left a comment on the last video, and then the comment never showed up, but I got the email notification about it, but it was very insightful, so thanks again. Sorry. Obviously a very professional job I do around here. We're gonna go roundabout way to Mom's house. I had kind of a crazy weekend last weekend, and I thought I'd tell you a couple funny stories. I did have a complaint on the channel in the comments that oh, you don't talk enough about the bike, all I want to hear about is the bike. So if you're new, I guess I should explain. I mean, these are like ride-along videos, kind of stories to relax to, maybe even fall asleep to. I live in a very tranquil part of the country, and the country being Canada, by the way. And there's just some nice scenery and that kind of thing. So, yeah, it was never intended to be like, oh, I'm a motorcycle expert by any means. I know a little bit about them, and I can tell you the things I like about them and the things I don't like about them, but beyond that, I'm kind of at a loss. We're just going to take it easy today. I think I'm going to go up along the Hammond River. We're in southwestern New Brunswick, no, southeastern? Southern New Brunswick anyway. And yeah, I apologize if the sound isn't great. I had to readjust the microphone on this most recent video. I kind of had to frig around with the helmet a little bit, and there may be some wind noise coming up under my chin. So if that's the case, I do apologize. It's really not a very professional setup. I've been using a Purple Panda microphone, like a lavalier microphone, basically attached to a GoPro Media Mod case, and it seems to be good enough, like that you can hear what I'm saying and that it's not like shockingly full of wind noise or you know, like clipping and that kind of thing. But I've had a few episodes where it wasn't great, and just now I was cleaning my helmet and accidentally pulled the mic out, so hopefully the positioning is okay for what we're using it for. I'm gonna go into sport mode for this highway pull. Nope, not rain mode. And I'll let you hear the acceleration. You can kind of hear it. Nice sounding bike. It's I've always said since I got it, it sounds a lot like a Porsche 911, and I think it's that flat six motor. So I'm just going to shut up and let you hear the acceleration. I'll eventually accelerate. There's a little bit of a sharp corner on this on-ramp. Okay, here we go. I didn't get to accelerate a whole lot. I got to turn off up here. So this bike has a slipper clutch that Honda uses in its sport bikes. It doesn't have a quick shifter that I'm aware of. I'm not going to find out. I don't drive that hard. Don't ride that hard, I should say. But it's a pretty smooth, buttery clutch. It's a little bit heavy, I suppose, if you're sitting in a lot of traffic. Like, I would probably want the DCT if I was in like LA or Toronto, but I don't know. I wouldn't really want to be in LA or Toronto anyway. I'm a bit of a country mouse. And I like the engagement of the clutch, I will say. Yeah, so this weekend I was on call. Part of my job, I'm kind of like a jack of all trades. I do a lot of procedures for all different types of things in the hospital. And I was on call for not just our department, but for a department in the north of the province. I was doing their telehealth stuff and our procedural stuff. And so it was a busy weekend. Whoa, dude. I guess that wasn't as close as I thought it was. I'm always more worried about the car behind me when you panic brake on a bike. Anyway, what the hell was I talking about? Oh yeah, my call. So one of the procedures I do when somebody has a big abscess, like say you have Crohn's disease or you had bowel surgery and the bowel is leaking into your belly, and obviously there's all kinds of bacteria inside your gut in your large and small bowel. Basically what happens is you get this big fluid collection and your body kind of walls it off and it turns into an abscess. And you've probably had like little skin abscesses and stuff in the past, but these things can be like liters of basically infected poop in somebody's belly. So one of my jobs is to drain that, and we had a new nurse working with us, and the way I do this procedure is I actually put people in a CT scanner, and without giving you too much detail of exactly what I do, we freeze you up and we give you sedation and that kind of thing, and then we use the CT scanner to get lined up on where we need to go. I don't really need to be in sport mode anymore. We're just gonna chill here. So we get lined up using the CT scanner. I have like a little laser guide that keeps you sort of within a couple millimeters of where the laser light is on the skin. And we can take pictures as we go, and we freeze you up and put a needle in the abscess, and a wire goes through the needle, and then we dilate over the wire, either using a balloon or using like plastic dilators that make the hole bigger essentially, and then I put a drain in over the wire, and the wire comes out of the drain and you pull basically a little ripcord, and the drain forms like a pigtail at the end so you can't accidentally pull it out. Just kind of locks it in place. So there's a new nurse working with me this weekend, and we had one of these abscesses. The patient had COVID. I mean, I realize that seems very retro now, but it is still out there. The COVID didn't cause the abscess, but it was just like there were a lot of precautions going on for safety and stuff. And so normally with COVID you wear like a full I don't know what you would call it, like a airborne droplet precaution setup essentially. So, you know, I'm wearing an N95 mask, but usually you have these hoods that go over your entire face as well. And my problem with the hoods is that they tend to cause my glasses to fog up. And when you're working in the CT scanner, like I take a massive radiation dose, and I think I had my annual limit of radiation last year by something like March or April. I can't exactly remember, but it wasn't good, and there's no other option but to keep working. So I've been trying to limit my radiation dose. So because it wasn't like a respiratory procedure, I said, okay, well, I'm going to wear my lead glasses to decrease the radiation in my eyes, because you can get cataracts from radiation. There's, I can't remember, stochastic effects and deterministic effects of radiation. It's been a while since I did the physics, but the corneal lesions that you get, or the, my God, cataracts, are like a direct effect of radiation. And the more you get, there's like a definite correlation with how likely you are to have cataracts. So instead of wearing the hood, I don't even know if we still have the hoods, but instead of wearing one, I just wore the lead glasses. And So we got everything in place. I did the whole procedure and got the drain in place, but I was just kind of fiddling with it just to make sure it was in the exact right position. Like, you got to be, I don't know, if it's too deep, it'll just drain, like it'll get stuck in the back wall of the abscess. If it's or it can even go through the abscess. It's really hard to know how deep you are until you see it on the screen or until you start getting fluid back. This bridge is one lane only, so I don't want to get smushed. Okay, this used to be a wooden bridge, and a guy took a backhoe on it, and it couldn't stand the weight of the backhoe, and he fell in there. People swimming down there. That's nice. I've had quite a few leeches on me after swimming in here, but it is a beautiful river. Anyway, so I was just kind of fiddling with the drain, and the nurse, I think, thought I was done, but I had my head inside the CT scanner with the patient, like basically trying to get the exact right angle to make sure that this thing was going to drain everything possible and that the patient wouldn't have ongoing, you know, issues with this abscess. Because the worst thing is when you have to do the same procedure twice. It's not without risk, right? There's blood vessels and all this stuff that you can hit and cause like major issues. So I was just getting it kind of fine-tuned, and she must have thought I was done, and she like pulled the wire out, but she pulled it really fast, and the wires are like a braided metal wire. Oh, this sucks. Oh my. This isn't feeling very good. I guess we're okay. I was thinking I had a flat front tire, but no, I guess it's alright. Just felt really weird there for a second. Anyway, so she whips this wire out. I'm just going to go into fourth and just take it slow. She whips the wire out, and of all things, it whipped up under my glasses, and this thing's been sitting in this poopy abscess, and whipped me right in the eyeball. And it was so goddamn juicy, I could feel the... Forgive my language. I shouldn't swear. I'm a Christian. I don't know what's wrong with me. I have the mouth of a sailor. Anyway, it whipped me right in the eyeball, and all this like poop and abscess and pus got in my eye, and the wire gave me a bit of a corneal abrasion, and I kind of went blind in that eye. But I wasn't quite done locking the drain in place, so I like closed my eye. I said, oh, okay, that got me in the eye. Didn't want her to feel bad, she's new. Finished the case with one eye closed, and then I went to the emergency like kit for eye washing. But I could not figure out how the caps come off of the eye wash things. They're like a big, it's like a 1 liter bottle of saline essentially, and they usually have an eye cup at the top, and there was this square cap, but no matter what I did, I ripped the whole thing open. So I said, oh, the hell with it, and I just put my eye over the ripped open top and squeezed as hard as I could and emptied the whole thing into my eye. And I did it with both bottles and tried to at least get the shit out of my eye. And I was convinced like I was gonna have a major infection, because I could feel like poop and stuff in my eye until the second wash. Then it seemed to wash out, and so I basically went to the emerge because it was still pretty sore, and they did like the fluorescein test and gave me eye drops and stuff like that. But I was still on call, so while I was in emerge, and they were super nice, like the guy was like, oh, look, we'll get you squared away quickly. He knew I was on call, but it was still like, you know, 20 minutes of not being able to work. And while I was in there, this stuff sucks. It's kicking up all this, ow, shit, tar and stuff all over me. I just got hit by a rock right in the shoulder. Actually, this jacket is, thank God I was wearing a jacket. It's so hot I almost didn't. Anyway, the upshot is my eye seems to be fine now. This is like a week later, and I never did didn't follow up with that nurse at all. I didn't want her to feel bad. I kind of just joked about it a little bit. Oh man, this sucks. I gotta get this windshield up. I'm getting peppered. I don't know if you can hear that. It sounds terrible. Like, why do they do such a bad job of this stuff? Oh, gee. If you're wondering why we don't drive that fast here, the road conditions are atrocious. And like you can tell, the fix, they don't even have that stuff sealed down. It's just like loose asphalt bits in the holes. Look at that pothole. Good grief. Here I am complaining. This guy probably is working on it. Or maybe he's going fishing. He's going fishing. Nope, he's doing yard work. There is some great fishing down here, trout fishing, but usually in the early summer. By now it's too hot. You can catch lots of bass down there though. Smallmouth. I keep driving by this Goldwing and I keep thinking, that'd be fucking fun. Anyway, sorry. My eye's fine is the upshot of that story. The nurse doesn't know how freaked out I was about getting all that crap in my eye. And yeah, so that was one story. The other story I was going to tell you was the story of my the coldest I've ever been, which is actually a motorcycle story. When I was in my residency, I lived in Halifax, and I loved motorcycles, but I didn't have one. I had sold, our friend Bob had died on his bike, and my dad and I both sold our bikes. And I had a really hard time not having a motorcycle. Like, in the winter, you're used to not riding because there's snow on the ice and the ground and all that stuff. But in the summer and fall and spring, like, this is what I've done for the last, I don't know, at that time probably the last 10 years, but I'd ridden since I could get a license. I got my motorcycle license I think the day I turned 16. So I had been pining for a bike, but I was also desperately poor. At my time, when you became a resident, your first year salary, I think it was $24,000 a year, and I still owed like $100,000 in student loans and that kind of thing. So it was pretty, and the apartments in Halifax, I ate almost your entire income at that time. So it was tight times. So I couldn't afford a good bike, but I really wanted a bike, and I found this 1978 Honda CB750. It was painted all in like ghost flames, a ghost flame pattern, I guess you would say. And it was black, like the base was black, and it had these blue skull flames on it. It was kind of cool. But the guy selling it, I'm pretty sure, had traded it for like methamphetamine. He was the sketchiest guy. And I've got a rock in there somewhere and it's rattling around. Oh, that was the worst road paving job I've ever... That was terrible. That rock's gonna find me here any minute now. It's gonna come flying out of the triple tree. I guess there's no triple tree on this bike. I'm gonna sneeze. My apologies. Excuse me. One more. Excuse me. Anyway, the bike was it was pretty cool. Like, it was very slow, and I didn't need anything fast. Like, I just wanted something to ride around, go to work on. And I had basically, my apartment had 2 parking spots, and I had my old as hell Jeep, and I got this motorcycle for the second parking spot. And I think I paid $750 for it. It was a pretty sketchy deal. And the other thing that I did that I'd never done before, I had to go to like Money Mart to get money out because it was a Saturday and the banks were closed. That seemed kind of like a sketchy deal too. Like, I'm not judging, but like the rates that they charge for payday loans and stuff are insane. Just don't use them. Don't do that. It's not a good service. Anyway, if you can avoid it. Anyway, so I bought this bike, and I bought a cheapo HJC helmet to go with it. And I went to Daniel Leather and bought a leather jacket because I had nothing. Like I had sold everything that I had when I sold my other bikes. And I rode it around that fall. My dad actually came up. I can't remember exactly how this panned out. I don't think he still had his own bike. He must have rented a bike. Maybe rented a Harley or something. And we rode up to Economy 5 Islands. We did a couple nice rides. That bike had, the CB750 had no suspension, and it had holes in the muffler. So I had to repair the muffler and repair the suspension. When you're getting into an old bike, you know there are going to be things like that. It had drum brakes that were, it was better just to let the engine brake for you, really. They were pretty poor. You know, I kept doing little jobs on it or getting them done by a local mechanic. And oh, it's bumpy, these roads, man, I'm telling you. And anyway, it came around November. We'd had a couple snow falls, like nothing accumulating, but it had snowed a few times late November. And my building decided that they were going to close our parking garage for, I think, 6 months. And it was to do some reno. I can't remember exactly how it all worked, but they gave me one parking spot in a different building, like a 15-minute walk away. It was the least convenient situation, because even like getting groceries, as you can imagine, when you have to walk 15 minutes for your groceries, it was just a pain in the ass. Nonetheless, I moved my car over to the other building because in the winter in Canada, the bike's not that useful. And I had nowhere to park the motorcycle. For a while, I actually snuck it into the garage. Like I would go in behind another car. I'd just wait till somebody went in, but then they caught me. I'm a bad man. What can I say? Okay, I'm gonna go. Hopefully go a little faster than that. There we go. Get by this guy. Windshield up. So yeah, I had to move the bike, but it was like late November. And what I ended up doing is I called my dad, and he grew up in a little town called Pugwash, Nova Scotia, which is a beautiful little village, about, I would say a 2-hour drive from Halifax. And I said, is there anywhere in Pugwash I can park the motorcycle? So he called a old friend of his from like high school, and the guy had a barn that was behind his mother's house. His mother had just died, I think, and he had inherited the house, is how it worked. So, for a couple $100, the guy let me park it there, but the thing was I had to get it there, and I couldn't like put it on a truck bed or anything, and I didn't have a trailer, so I was basically stuck riding it there. So the next Saturday, I think it was like November 30th, it was -8 degrees, but it hadn't snowed in a while and the roads were dry. And I said, okay, well, I think I can do this. I'll just stop to warm up once in a while. And I got on the bike, and in my leather jacket and a sweater and just jeans and boots. And I started riding, and about an hour into the ride I realized I couldn't feel my hands. I had gloves on, like winter gloves, but I had gone completely numb. I couldn't feel my knees, and I could still kind of change gears, but everything was sluggish, and I was like, oh, I need a break. So Chrissy, my wife, had come up behind in a car, and I asked her if we could pull over and I could warm up in the car. And I got in her car, and I was shivering at first I wasn't shivering, and then I was shivering uncontrollably, and like to the point where it's like almost a survival situation. But we were only about halfway there, and what we did is she let me take a pair of her yoga pants and put them on under my jeans, and I put on a bunch of her clothes under my sweater, because of course I didn't have any clothes with me, and put on her gloves under my gloves. And then I actually did make it the rest of the way to Pugwash. And it was, when I got there, I had pretty severe hypothermia, to the point that, like, I didn't warm up for about 4 days. And I was trying to eat soup and stuff, and my hand was just doing this. I couldn't keep soup on the spoon. It was the coldest I've ever been. But we did end up storing the bike, and I actually just sold it this spring. That would have been, God, what year did I start my residency? I think I did my residency from 2005 to 2010. So yeah, it would have been like 2007 or 2008. So that bike lasted a long time. It was with me a long time. The reason I sold it was kind of, well, it's for the best, and I don't want to sound bitter. But I kind of got, I feel like I got a little bit played. So I stored the bike with a company that, for the winter, and that company was purchased by another company. And there's another funny story with that bike, actually. I might as well tell it. I got a little ways to go here. My mom had driven old cars. I'd given her my old car when Dad died. I had an old Volkswagen Phaeton that she drove. And she had Dad's old Mercedes E-Class, like a 2000, maybe it was a 2000, maybe it wasn't that old, but it had a ton of miles on it anyway, 2004 maybe, or 2003. Anyway, she'd had those for quite a long time, and then the E-Class, one day she was driving it, and the shock tower went through a rusted, like, part of the frame, and the whole side of the car collapsed. And they wouldn't obviously like fix it, because the fix would cost more than a new car. And then my Phaeton, which was an awesome car, by the way, and it's built like on a Bentley chassis, she took it to Volkswagen because the parking brake got stuck in park. This is like this is Volkswagen Moncton. I don't mind naming them because I was quite pissed. So she took it there, and like, all you have to do is unlock the solenoid. It's just a bad solenoid, causes that park issue, and I knew about it from the forums. I'd had to do it once before, like 10 years before. And so she brought it into them, and they were in working on the car, or they moved the car, and it was like, I don't know, 40 degrees, so they had the windows all down, and somebody went out, and they were looking at it, and then they went back inside to get a part, and then there was this torrential thunderstorm, and the interior of the car got absolutely soaked and destroyed the entire wiring harness and all the electronics. And they told her that your car leaks, but I had seen them with the windows down like 5 minutes before the storm, and I know that the car didn't leak because I had it for years. And they were like, no, it must have been leaking for years. There was all kinds of water in the carpets. No, there wasn't. I had it for years. Anyway, they were liars, and they should be called out. I'm not gonna, well, I should have taken them to court, to be honest, but the car wasn't worth that much, so it was like, well, the only people who win are the lawyers when you do that. They refused to do anything, and they tried to charge her a $2,500 disposal fee for the car that they totaled. She did not pay that. I put my foot down and called them. But it was just so greasy. It was so greasy. But anyway, she got a new, a new to her Toyota Highlander when both cars were completely screwed. And it was her first vehicle with like backup sensors and a backup camera. And so she was taking it to back out of the driveway, but she'd just gotten this new dog, and like, we train our dogs with perimeter collars, And the collars like beep and buzz and stuff when the dog gets too close to the perimeter. It's just so they don't get hit by a car. And if they go past the beep and buzz stage, the collar gives them like a shock. And so I had come to see Mom, and she was backing up her truck, and she heard beep, 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 and she thought it was the dog's collar. Her new truck, like she got it like a couple days before. And she thought, oh my god, the dog's getting shocked. And she nailed the gas, and it was not the dog's collar. The dog's collar was in the house. It was the backup camera sensing my motorcycle. And she smoked the bike, the rear end of my bike, and basically broke the fender, the tail light, the rear blinkers, all the wiring that went with it, but didn't bend the frame. And she did quite a bit of damage to the bumper of her truck. She needed a new bumper too. And so I had taken it in to get that repaired, and the parts I bought didn't fit for some reason, and they had to order new parts. And so while it was in, that was like in July, it turned to November, then December, the parts hadn't come, and then I said, okay, well, just store it for the winter because I can't pick it up. They called me in like January and said it was done. And I paid them, you know, for the parts, but not for the labor yet. And so it sat there that winter, and that winter the dealership was bought out by a different company. They lost, I think they lost their dealership license for one brand of motorcycle. I don't want to blame this on the dealership. It's probably like one person in particular, but whatever. They lost their dealership license for like their big brand, and then they ended up taking on another big brand essentially, but under new ownership. And so when I called them to pick up the bike the next year, they couldn't find it. It's like, what the hell do you mean you can't find it? Well, you know, new owners, we've got stuff in storage all over the place. It's probably, you know, somewhere in storage. When we see it, we'll give you a call. Didn't get a call that year. They stored it again the next winter, and then and another winter. Like, this was 3 years, and I kept calling, and I was like, somebody stole it, obviously, and they just don't want to tell me. But then I got a call, hey, I found your bike, you know, I've got a guy here who wants to buy it, the guy who works on classic Hondas. I said, well, okay, you know, I'm interested in selling it. Well, what do you want for it? I said, oh, I don't know, like $1,700. I'd put more than that into it. I'd put probably $4,000 or $5,000 into it over the years. And you know, they said, oh yeah, no, that's great. So can you come down and sign the registration? I said, yeah, sure thing. So I drove all the way out there, which is a pain in the hole, and signed the registration over to the guy. I was like, okay, so yeah, $1,700. If you want to do cash, that'd be great. If you want to send me an e-transfer, whatever. And he's like, well, you owe $1,800. So if you could pay me $100 for, you know, for the storage, then we'll just call it even. And I was like, but I didn't want it stored. You lost the fucking bike. I'm still bitter about it. I don't know. I never paid them the $100. I said, well, let's call it even where it is, I guess. But which I'm sure is exactly what he knew I would say. But I was in the middle of getting this bike, the Goldwing, and I was trying to be on okay terms with these guys for some fucking reason. They're never your friend, right? They're there just to fleece you. But I want the business to be okay. Like, I want them to do okay. I don't want to lose our dealership. I'm still fucking pissed. I don't know. I don't know if that was a fair thing or not, but it was just one of those things that happens. Anyway, this has been kind of a weird drive. The rocks and asphalt and crap on that Hammond River Road, that was kind of disappointing. I want to pass this guy, but there's a... okay, yeah, I guess he's pulling in behind me. You don't get to like feel the curves and stuff in the road when it's all shitty like that. Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to say thanks again. You know, every time you like and subscribe to the videos and leave a comment and all that stuff, I guess it really helps with the algorithm. Again, feel free to unsubscribe if this kind of content drives you crazy. It's not to everyone's taste, obviously. You know, try not to leave nasty comments, I guess. This is just like, these are ride-along kind of storytelling, chillaxing videos. You will hear some music in this episode. If I can, I'm going to use some of the songs my son made. He's been making songs for me because he likes these, and he likes like lo-fi music and stuff. So if you've heard some music in the background, it may or may not be what he sent me, if I can figure out how to load it in the videos. But otherwise, look, stay safe, enjoy your ride, and enjoy what's left of the summer. If you're somewhere warm, please invite me down for the winter. I'm really not looking forward to the winter. I'm just kidding, of course. Nobody likes house guests. But yeah, I would love to get down to Florida this winter. Although I'd find riding a motorcycle there a little hectic. The traffic is wild. There's so many people there now. Oh gosh. I've been doing this left foot only at stop signs. I don't know if that's wise when the bike is this heavy. It's just kind of my natural way of doing it. Anyway, ride safe out there, guys. I'm going to sign off, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.